Gary Marcus, AI expert, NYU Emeritus Professor of Psychology and Neuroscience, and author of Rebooting AI, joins us this morning. Professor, great to see you. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me back on the show.
I guess I'll start with whether or not you think the Times lawsuit is a sign of things to come.
Absolutely. I think we're going to see a lot more litigation this year. I think the Times lawsuit is fairly solid. I'm sure that there will be lots of things to skirmish about, but they kind of have OpenAI dead to rights. They show that it's possible to make the systems plagiarize pretty much in exact words things that are in the New York Times database. I have some work myself that I'll put out in IEEE Spectrum tomorrow with Reed Southen, showing basically the same thing with the visual domain. So showing that Midjourney and OpenAI are capable of replicating trademarked characters, even full frames of movies, almost identically. And I think we'll see litigation from film studios, from game studios, from independent artists, and so forth. I think there's going to be a lot of litigation this year.
What do you think will be the bigger dynamic, the litigation that we're talking about right now, or more broad-based law, government regulation, whether it's in the United States or Europe or elsewhere?
So there's a lot of laws that may come out in Europe soon. So there's the EU AI Act. There's a tentative agreement on it, but it's not actually signed yet. If it takes effect, it won't take effect immediately. There's still some things to work out, but there's a lot there. The United States, I think, is lagging behind. We don't yet have a formal Senate bill saying what might happen. So it's all kind of on Chuck Schumer's desk. It depends what he wants to do. Just before Christmas, there was a bill about data transparency. Where do you get your things from? Have you taken copyrighted sources? How many? By Anna Eshoo, and I think his name is Don Beyer. That's an interesting piece of legislation that could really change the game if that gets all the way through and becomes a law.
What do you think about the commercialization prospects of AI? I think about how people have been analogizing this whole AI wave as akin to what we saw with the internet back in the 90s. But the internet, I mean, largely it's usable by everybody. You don't necessarily have to pay to use it, except for to service providers to get access. In terms of AI, we've seen this tension between the for-profit side, the non-profit side. What do you make of kind of just the overall business models and how those will develop in the forthcoming years?
I don't think there's a business model yet that fully justifies the valuations that these companies are getting. So OpenAI is valued most recently at, I think, $86 billion. It's not clear where that revenue is going to come from, or where the profits are going to come from. They apparently made something like $1.5 billion or $2 billion last year, but that was not in profit. That was just revenue. It's very expensive to run their thing. So that's one issue. Another issue is whether people will actually, in Fortune 500 companies, use this stuff systematically. So there's a little bit of background noise there. People are doing a lot of proof of concept testing things, but not too many Fortune 500 companies have said, okay, we're going to go with this now, it really works. The fundamental problem with the current technologies, it makes stuff up. People call those hallucinations. In fact, the word hallucination was the word of the year for dictionary.com last year because large language models do it so much. Like if you put in your own biography, it will make some stuff up. And so the systems are not yet reliable enough to support some of the applications people have talked about. They're reliable enough for computer programs to use them as a kind of fancy form of autocomplete. But computer programmers by themselves aren't a big enough market to justify the valuations that we're seeing. So there's a lot still open about that.